Hi everyone and welcome to another video. Today we are still looking at the budget Le Mans Noughties collection, but as you can see we have three models in front of us from three different brands of a very similar car. In front of us we've got a Onyx Audi R8 from the year 2000, silver number 7. We've got the Minichamps number 3 from 2002, and we have the IXO from 2004. Now, I thought I'd do a comparison of which Audi R8 models are sort of the best within the budget. So all of these were picked up for less than £20. The cheapest was the Minichamps, which I paid £9.99. These are prices before postage. The Onyx I got for £15, and the IXO I got for £17. Now, if we were looking at these models, the Onyx is the oldest model, I think, from when it was cast and actually released onto the market. Then I believe it is the Minichamps and then the IXO. The Minichamps, when it came out, would have probably retailed at quite a high price. It is now an older model in comparison to, say, the latest Spark. So I think most people have upgraded to the Spark models, which is why the Minichamps can now be found at the prices that they are. The IXO, brand new, is probably similar prices to what you can find most Minichamps. £9.99 was an exceptionally good price on a Minichamps. They average between £15 and £25 depending on the car. So that's the same sort of money as a brand new IXO. What I would say is with the Audi R8, you've got to be careful because there are various Le Mans magazine models, and that's not to say that they are bad models. But they will often be marketed as a IXO release when actually they are the magazine Altaya IXO release, which have slightly less detail than a normal IXO. The other model to look for, though, which is a definite bargain and one that I would recommend you find, is Spark did a magazine series that was released a couple of years ago in Japan, I believe, part of the Fabry collection. So Fabry do various different. It wasn't Fabry. It was. Is it Hitachi? Hachette. So Hachette do various model magazine series, different things. They teamed up with Spark. So the Hachette magazine collectors brand, if you like, teamed up with Spark, and they released a load of Le Mans cars, and they actually did this Audi R8 and another Audi R8. Now this one you can find for about £20. The other Audi R8 that they did, I can't seem to find it anywhere. So I would recommend that you hunt down the Spark version because it will blow these three out of the water, if I'm honest, even if it's not necessarily the same quality as a proper Spark. Looking at these models, though, what I will say is that you have to bear with me that through the years, the Audi R8 did have upgrades, so they're not exactly the same. Most notable thing is the rear wings, if you have a look. This car hasn't got any of the side plates. This car does, and then this one has actually got, I think you can see it there in comparison to this one. It's got like these bits on the end, I guess, to capture even more downforce through the high-speed turns at Le Mans. What I will say though is let's have a look at the quality of the actual castings. So we'll start with the Onyx, the oldest Audi R8 and also the oldest model. Now the paintwork on this model is really nice. I can't see any issues at all with the paint. And I will say that Onyx at their time produced lovely models. If you can find Onyx, I would recommend to try and pay between £10 and £15. Some of their cars do sell for a lot more because actually they haven't been done that often by any of the other brands, bar probably Spark, and often the Spark model can be £50 to £100. So an Onyx model at 20 quid is probably a good option if it's not a car that's necessarily hugely important and you're just trying to complete a year. What we do get is details on the interior. None of it is actually that 3D. There's a little bit there that you can see is 3D. It's like a little cylinder in there and two pipes. Can't quite see it on the camera. I'll try and just about visible. And then you've also got little logos and stickers. You've got the side radio, I think toolbox probably. That's 3D. You've got a nice antennae. It's fairly sturdy. That's going to take some effort to break. Well, actually, it probably would break because it is quite rigid and quite strong. These are separately made, which is a nice touch. So they've got some nice depth to them in here, which is good. All the plastic lensing and stuff looks really nice. The exhausts are nicely done on the back, and you've got a proper tow hook. On the front as well is a proper tow hook. The headlights are nicely done as well. Although you will note on one side, obviously this is an older model, the headlight has actually come out. So that side you can see it, that side I can see it's in there, but it's loose. So I'll need to try and fix that. It doesn't roll very well, but it's a model, not a toy. Underside's very, very boring. Not a huge amount on there. Wheels are nicely done. You've got brake discs in there, and the brake discs actually have it looks like a Brembo logo on there. Is it Brembo? Let me just have a quick look. I think it's Brembo. It's red on a gold caliper with the disc in the wheel. So that's a really nice detail. The exhaust is a sticker, that I think. Not exhaust. Refuel point. Yeah, it looks like it's a sticker. I think this is meant to be some kind of intake here. I'll just get a paintbrush to point out what I'm trying to point at. This bit here. I think that's an intake, not just a design feature. That is a tampo print or decal. But overall, this is a really, really decent effort. For an older model, I would say I would rate this quite highly. Obviously, you get some of the issues with how the gaps are on some of the separate pieces that join together. Not as refined as some of the other brands, but overall, this is a fairly strong effort. I would say that probably could have done with being filed down a bit. But yeah, it's a good model. I think if you can get one of those for around £10 to £15, then yeah, a good buy. Minichamps next. We've obviously done this model in detail already on the channel, but I'll just quickly run over what it is that you get with the Minichamps. This is obviously a 2002 car, so the rear lights are slightly different and the rear wing is different, as we've already discussed. So on this model, you can see already this side ventilation here looks a lot better. It is actually moulded in and then painted by the looks of it. So that's a lot better. This piece here, it's very delicate and is present on this model. I believe one would be on the older car as well, but I'd have to double check. That might be a detail that's been skipped on the Onyx. Antennae, I would say that's very brittle, so I wouldn't want to put too much pressure on that. Fuel filler, really nicely done, a lot better. Loads of moulded detail in the interior, as well as obviously the tampo print and decals. No Le Mans circuit layout from what I can see, which is a bit different to the other car. You see a lot more detail on the steering wheel. I didn't really look at the Onyx steering wheel. There's some reasonable detail in there. So yeah, not a bad effort. Again, separate pieces here for the intakes on the side, but a lot more refined on how they join. That looks a lot better. Same on the rear wing. There's no like rough mold lines that should really have been filed down before paint. Rear tow hook and exhaust, nicely done. I'd say maybe a little bit more refined than that on the Onyx. The front one's definitely a lot more delicate. Brake wise, they are there and present, but they are just discs. I can't see calipers on them. No, there's no calipers on those brakes that are on this one. So that's something the Onyx has on this. Does that have reflective? Yeah, that had reflective mirrors, so does this. So I'm not really going to study that too much. So yeah, another really nice model. The headlights, I think, are actually I don't know if they're better. I'm going to say they're on equal terms to the Onyx. But yeah, definitely a lot better than the Onyx. But then there are certain things like the wheels seem to have just been done slightly better, I think, on the Onyx than the Minichamps. But yeah, Minichamps, if you can get one for tenner, it's a no-brainer. Now the IXO, this is where I think these two beat out this IXO. First thing is, interestingly, the brake calipers are a different way on this. Again, they are gold with red Brembo logos, but the caliper is this side, and it is this side on the Onyx, which is interesting. I don't know which is the right way around. I would assume, normally, I think the front one's this side and the rear one's this side. I think on racing cars. I could be very wrong. I seem to remember building an Airfix DBR9 and it was the same way around. So yeah, we'd have to check that. But you can see the interiors are definitely not quite as good as either the Onyx or the Minichamps. Steering wheel and dials are all nicely done, as is the antennae. That's quite brittle again. But you can see here, this side, not so nice. These are, yeah, simply painted into the black sort of paint. There doesn't appear to be any attempt to do the intakes on these sides. Front tow hook's there. Rear tow hook is also there. Reasonably well done. Exhaust is nice. Headlights, yeah, they're okay. In fact, they've actually got plastic light lenses as opposed to just silver painted balls compared to the other two, so I'll give them that. The intakes here don't look to be a separate piece, or if they are, they have not got any depth. That is just a black triangle painted on a singular front. So it's a good model, but for the same money, just get a Minichamps or the Onyx, if I'm honest. I'd just skip the IXO unless you can't find either of these options in this scheme. I think Onyx only did the early 2000, maybe the 2001 cars. Minichamps have pretty much done all of them. So Minichamps are a sure bet to get hold of any of the cars. Yeah, IXO, I'd just skip over if I'm just brutally honest. The only other thing I have noticed is, and I'd have to check if this is correct, you can see through here on the IXO and the Minichamps. You cannot on the Onyx. I don't know if that's a change from the 2000 car to the later cars. I'd have to double check that. But you can see through the fenders on the other two models. But yeah, overall, I'm going to say Minichamps is the clear winner. Then I'd go Onyx. And then I think I would go for the IXO. I hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted to do a comparison of the Audi R8s. It certified what I thought I was going to do, and that's just hunt down Minichamps and skip over the IXO variants. I might find an Onyx here and there. I don't feel like I'm going to be rushed out to replace this one with a Minichamps. This one I am going to try and get the Spark version. It just makes sense to try and get it. And this will probably end up back on eBay, or I might do a giveaway on it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. Which one would you hunt down? Which model do you think I should try and collect next for our Noughties Le Mans collection? And yeah, as always, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're collecting. I'm open to chat about anything to do with models. And also give you some tips on some of the cars that I've collected. I have collected high-end stuff before. I've sold a lot of my collection. This is me sort of restarting my collection and going on in different directions to where I've been before. I obviously collect 164 as well, and we'll be doing some videos on 164 again soon, and some more on the old retro diecast that I collect. Hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you again soon.